today's video, I'm going to be going over the only gear you guys are going to need starting out at level 1 going all the way through level 60. I'm sure a lot of people watching probably already know a lot of the stuff that I'm going to go over in this video, but there are a lot of new players in the game with the release of Wizard101 on console recently. So I'm going to be doing this video for you guys. It's mostly for the people that are new to the game and they don't know what gear they should go farm or look for or anything like that. So that's what we're going to be going over today. If you guys are new and you find anything in this video helpful, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you guys are new. That way you guys can come back for future videos. And yeah, let's just jump right on into it. So honestly, for the entirety of Wizard City, levels 1 to about 10, I would not go out of your way to look for any specific gear. Really, whatever you guys get for drops, because you are going to get gear from mobs and from bosses that are going to have stats on it. It's probably going to be like 2 or 3 resist at most, 1 or 2 damage, something like that, maybe 10 to 20 health. Whatever you guys get, really, I would just throw it on for the first 10 levels, because it's really not going to matter all that much. And one thing I just want to throw out there right now, especially in the lower levels, I highly do not recommend buying Crown's gear. Yes, there is Crown's gear options. I'll just go ahead and show you guys, because at the end of the day, it is your money. If you guys want to spend the money, I mean, you absolutely can, feel free. I don't necessarily recommend it, but there are level 0 options for every single school. As you can see, like starter myth gear right here, and they have it for every single school. Like I said, there's the death version right here. Do not recommend that. However, that is an option if you so choose. The only piece of Crown's gear that I am going to recommend, and for one, it's very helpful low level, and it's also extremely cheap, is the Heartsteel theme in the Crown shop. It's only 260 crowns, so it's really not that much. You guys could really do that. You could honestly get 260 crowns for free by doing the earn crowns feature right here up in the top left corner, or you can also go online and you can do quizzes that will give you 10 crowns per quiz. So it really wouldn't even take you that long to just watch a couple advertisements and also to do a couple quizzes, and you could get 260 crowns very easily, and 100% for free. So that's the only piece of Crown's gear that I am going to recommend, because at the lower levels, around level 5 to honestly all the way up until level 60, really, that 5% resist is really going to help you a lot. It matters a lot more than you might think it will. So yeah, that's the only piece of gear that around level 5 I think you should actually go out of your way to get. But other than that, like I said, other than that, for the hats, boots, robes, wands, all that stuff. Actually, for the wand, you guys are going to want to keep your starter wand, because the starter wand is going to give you 5% accuracy, and you guys are going to want to use that all the way up until level 30, in my opinion. But as far as everything else goes, I just recommend using drops up until level 10. Now, once you guys do reach level 10, that is when I would recommend coming to the bazaar and actually starting to swap out some of your gear intentionally. Now, you're going to have some options, right? You're going to have some that give you just health, which is what I personally recommend. Some's going to give you just resist like this. Some's going to give you damage. Now, damage later on in the game is probably one of the most, if not the most important stats in the game. But at level 10, the damage that you get from level 10 gear is not even actually a percentage of damage. It is flat damage. So basically what that means is, instead of like this hat right here, the Hood of Storms, it gives 4 storm damage. Instead of giving you 4%, meaning your attack will do 4% more damage, it's a flat damage, which means it's only going to add 4 damage to whatever your attack is already going to do. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, I'm a storm, right? Let's just use Scarecrow as an example. Again, hypothetically speaking, this is a storm spell, right? This is gonna do 590 base damage. With that hat on, it would only do 594. So it's really not that, like, I don't know, I don't think it's gonna make that big of a difference. It's really not crucial enough to where I recommend doing it. Your best defense at the low levels is gonna be health. You don't want to do any of these single resists, because there's just too many different types of enemies of all different various schools that you're going to be facing. So it's really not worth it to just stack up on one school's resist. So your best defense is going to be health. Now, a lot of these level 10 hats give you a decent health. Like this one right here for death gives 29, but just scroll through. Now make sure what you guys are going to want to do is click on the level tab right here. That way you can filter by level, and you can scroll through all the level 10 hats at once, and you can just see which one's the best. So we got 25 health. If we just keep scrolling, oh, right here's 30 health. And you're going to want to do that for every piece of gear, from the hats, robes, boots. Do not worry about the wand. Like I said earlier, the wand, you are going to want to stick with your starter wand, which gives you the 5% accuracy all the way until level 30. The Athame, if you did not go ahead and buy the Heartsteel, do the same thing and just focus on health. If you did buy the heart steel, I would recommend using that for a good majority of early game. So I would not worry about this right now. Amulet, you can use anything you really want. That one doesn't really matter too much. And then I would also upgrade your deck to whatever deck gives you the most cards at that particular level. So yeah, guys, once you reach level 10, I would head to the bazaar and do exactly what I just explained to you. Every 5 to 10 levels or so. So once you get to level 15, 20, 25, I would just head to the bazaar and see if there's any upgrades for gear available and go ahead and buy that. Now, once you guys get to level 30, this is when we are going to get our first major upgrading gear. We're going to come here to Aquila in Cyclops Lane, and we're going to come right here to Mount Olympus, and you guys are going to want to farm for the Senator / Zeus gear. This is the first, like I said, the first major gear update that we are going to get. The gear that you get from Mount Olympus is far superior than anything you're going to find at the bazaar or anything that you're going to get dropped from any other boss. Now, what I recommend you guys do, I would farm this a few times and just kind of see what you guys get. You're going to have 2 tiers of gear that you're going to get. You're going to have the Senator gear, which is the lower tier, and then you're going to have Zeus gear, which is the higher tier option. And the one that is guaranteed, the one piece of gear that is guaranteed from Mount Olympus is the Sky Iron Hosta, which is the wand. You are guaranteed to get the Sky Iron Hosta every single time you run the dungeon. And that is when I would recommend swapping wands, because it's going to give you that 10 universal damage, which is absolutely massive at low level. Now, as far as the rest of the gear goes, the Senator and Zeus gear, while I will say, yes, the Zeus gear is obviously the better option. If you look at the stats side by side, yes, the Zeus gear is the better option. However, I would not recommend going out of your way to farm for hours and hours and hours. If you already have the Senator's gear and you just cannot get the Zeus gear for whatever reason, you're just having really bad RNG. Yes, the gear is better, but I don't think it's so much better to the point where it's worth wasting hours and hours and hours farming for it if you already have the Senator's gear. If you have like 1 or 2 pieces of Zeus gear already and you just have like a let's just say a Zeus hat and robe and then Senator's boots, don't even bother trying to farm for the Zeus boots. It's not worth it. I promise you, like it's really not worth it. The amount of time that you spend trying to get that last piece of gear, you already would be level, 40 or 50 by now. It's really not worth it. So I would recommend just farming for 3 pieces of gear. Whatever those 3 pieces of gear are, it could be any combination of Zeus and Senator's gear. Even if it's all Senator's gear, I personally think that you are fine to just move on. I don't think it's worth putting hours and hours and hours into something that is pretty minuscule. Now, from level 30 onwards, up until level 50 to 56, there's really not that many pieces of gear, if any at all, that are gonna be that big of an upgrade, or even any sort of an upgrade from the Zeus / Senator's gear. Up until you get to level 56, and this is when you get the next big upgrade, in my opinion. The only thing you could argue that is a minor upgrade is that level 40, there is the Barkingham Palace and Marleybone that you could farm. I mean, the gear is the slightest of like 1% upgrades that you have ever seen in your life. So I really do not think that it's even worth going out of your way to farm that, period. I mean, if you want to, you absolutely can. I'm not going to say you can't, but I just do not think it's worth it. It's literally, like I said, like a 1% upgrade. So I think your best bet is to get to level 56 with the Zeus or Senator's gear. Now, if you guys have kept up with your crafting, come to Carrick Strongthread in Sudgerland Wintertusk, and he is going to have your next biggest upgraded gear in the game. This stuff is so good. I mean, it's so much better than the Senator's gear. It's going to pretty much double your stats, and it also gives you item cards. So as you can see, every single school gets their specific school's blade, which is amazing. It gives you the ability to stack 1 more blade. And then same thing with the robes. It gives you an extra trap. It gives you your school specific trap on every single school, which is awesome. And then on the boots, it's going to give you an aura, which is pretty cool too. Less important than the other 2, especially the blade. The blade is by far the most important one. But, there's always a niche fight here and there that really, it could come in handy one of these days. Who knows? So, but yeah, so if you guys have kept up with your crafting, highly recommend doing this. And one thing I will say is I highly recommend you guys keep up with your crafting, because if you haven't yet, I would jump on it right now, because it's going to come in handy down the road. Even if you haven't gotten on it in time to get the level 56 gear, I still would recommend jumping on it. That way you at least have it ready for late game, because trust me, it's really going to help you out in the long run. So if you are in a position where you haven't started crafting yet, you're already level 56 and you have not started crafting yet, I would just go straight to level 60, because I don't think it's worth you stopping questing, stopping, you know, your progress and wasting hours on crafting if you haven't already started it just to get this gear, because you're already 4 levels away from level 60, which is going to be the last and biggest upgrade that I'm going to talk to you guys about today. One thing I forgot to mention is, even if you guys do go ahead and craft that set of level 56 gear, I still highly recommend keeping the Sky Iron Hosta as your wand. That is pretty much going to carry you almost all the way until level 100 basically. But yeah, we're not going to talk about level 100 in today's video. Stay tuned for a future video and we will go over that. But yeah, keep the Sky Iron Hosta. There's really nothing better than that. And then as far as the rest of the gear, the deck, like I said, for the deck, just keep getting whatever deck has the most cards available in the bazaar, and as well as the ring and the thame and amulet is whatever the best option is in the bazaar, as far as whatever gives you the most damage. And for the amulet, whatever gives you the best item card, that is what I would go with personally. All right, I'm sure a lot of you guys saw this coming, but once you hit level 60, the only gear you guys are going to want to farm, and yes, I say that firmly, the only gear you guys are going to want to farm at level 60 is Waterworks gear. Sure, yes, you have the House of Scales in Crocotopia that, I mean, you can argue the robe is better, sure, but I've been Team Waterworks since day one, okay? I don't think I've ever farmed House of Scales once in my life. I have always been Team Waterworks. It's an easy, straightforward dungeon. The gear drops are fair, and I mean, it's just such good gear. It's hard to really get better than this. So once you guys get to level 60, I mean, well, let me just put it this way. You guys know how overpowered you felt when you went from Bazaar gear to the Zeus and Senator gear. That is exactly how you're going to feel going from the Zeus gear up to Waterworks gear. Once you get to level 60 and you get your Waterworks set, I mean, you are just going to feel so overpowered. The game just starts becoming so easy. You just get such crazy damage. It's actually insane. And one thing I do want to mention real quick is I am being slightly biased towards the Waterworks gear. A lot of the House of Scale robes are objectively better, but the hats and the boots of the Waterworks gear are better. So it's going to just save you a lot of time to just go for the Waterworks gear, because the overall Waterworks set is definitely better than the overall House of Scales set, even if the House of Scales robe is better. So ultimately, it's up to you guys. If you want to spend the time farming both dungeons to try to min-max your stats, you absolutely can. I just highly do not recommend it. I definitely think you should just stick with Waterworks, because like I said, the overall set is better, and it's just going to save you a lot of time only farming one dungeon as opposed to two. So yeah, level 60, I would come here to Waterworks and Triton Avenue, and well, we're actually in Crab Alley, which is off of Triton Avenue, but we are going to want to farm this. What I would do, I would go for at least the hat and the robe. The boots are good. They are definitely an upgrade, don't get me wrong, but the two most important pieces of this fight are the hat and the robe. So if you guys are, I would say, like, farm this boss or this dungeon, I mean, probably 5 to 10 times. And if you have the hat and the robe already and you just can't seem to get the boots, I mean, you could farm for it, you know, but it's really, again, like I said earlier, it's not the end of the world for the boots to go out of your way to farm for hours and hours and hours just to get those. I would argue that it is worth farming until you get the hat and the robe, just because the damage that you get from the hat and robe, and the resist, the health, and depending on what school you are, the accuracy or pip chance that you get is absolutely worth this. So I would say absolutely 100% go for those two pieces of gear, and then the boots, if you happen to get them early on, is probably just a bonus. But yeah, so now as far as everything else, a thame, ring, deck, just get whatever the best option is from the bazaar. And for the wand, again, keep your Sky Iron Hosta. That's gonna carry you through the entire early game. Now what the next upgrades are going to be after level 60, I will let you guys know in a future video. Let me know down in the comments below if you disagree with anything I listed off in today's video. If there's anything you do disagree with, let me know down in the comments. What would you pick over whatever it is that I said? But yeah, if you guys are new around here, please be sure to drop a like. That way this can get pushed out to other new players that may need a little help, you know, trying to figure out what gear they should go for. So yeah, if the more you guys like, the more this gets pushed out to other people, and the more the more players that we get to help and improve their game experience. If you guys are new around here, also please be sure to subscribe. That way you guys do not miss out on any future videos. I really appreciate you guys watching, especially if you made it to this point, and I will see you in the next one.